Here's the Stinky Popcorn Boys.
We watch movies and eat popcorn. And you're stinky.
Hello. We are the Stinky Popcorn Boys. Just some boys talking about movies and how they made us feel. I am Patrick Baskell, and I am a plagiarist.
I am John Gilardi, and I practice plagiarism.
Oh. Kind of copied my, kind of plagiarized my little intro there. Look at that.
Wow.
So today we're talking about Hayden Christensen's movie, Shattered Glass. It's a really fucking good movie, by the way.
Did he act in it, or did he make it? Is it his?
No, he acted in it. It happened in I think it was 2004.
Oh wow, right when he was doing stuff.
Yeah, and there was this. Technically, it's not plagiarism, so that's a bad intro because he just kind of made up stories.
Oh.
It was this New York Times reporter, and people were like, "Wow, you did a fucking great job," and he's like, "Well, I did. You're right." And then it turned out that he was just making up stories.
Huh.
And he does a really good fucking job.
Well.
No, but today we're talking about surprise 2009 box office obliterator that set off the 3D craze from director, ocean lover, and technology creator James Cameron.
Jim, as we in the industry call him.
Jim, that's right. Yeah.
If you're friends with him, as we are.
If you know that man, it's Jim. It's the ultimate amalgamation of white savior movies. Avatar in papyrus.
Yeah, I can't believe they did that.
Which is one of my favorite SNL things too, with the Ryan Gosling.
Oh, is that a skit?
Yeah, that's one of their video things where he's like, "I can't believe they chose papyrus."
Yeah. Yeah. It's like James Cameron's so in touch because he had his hand in everything.
Yeah.
And he whatever mind place he is in, that he just didn't care or didn't have the awareness that papyrus is what third grade kids do on their little document.
Yeah,
they think it
or
looks
they're
cool.
I'm writing a paper on Egyptian gods.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
or your sixth grade teacher.
Yeah,
uses it in the headers because they're like, "Oh, Egyptian class." I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just not what you use for this.
It's just it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting choice.
Yeah,
it's an interesting choice. I think anytime that there is a choice made in the subtitle, because I didn't realize that it was the subtitles.
Yeah.
Until I watched this movie again. And it's anytime that there's a decision made that's imagine if someone made Comic Sans the subtitle. That's an artistic choice.
That would take me out of it. Even the only exception would be the way it's used.
Yeah.
In some capacity in Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Like bagel, when he gets hit with the bagel.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily subtitle.
That's diegetic too.
Yeah.
So it's not even subtitles. So it would just never work anywhere. Honestly, it wouldn't even work in a Andrew Garfield or any Spider-Man. It just wouldn't work. You just don't touch those.
Yeah. Well, I guess I don't know. It's just an interesting choice to differentiate the subtitles.
Yeah,
of the language.
In bright yellow too.
In bright yellow as well. I mean, that's one of the things with this movie is really, it does a really good job of, and we can get into more of it, but it really does a good job of even the papyrus thing being ridiculous and having it be in yellow, but every time that they speak Na'vi,
it catches your eye and you're
it's
oh yeah.
But it's consistent.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that this movie and a lot of James Cameron movies do real well, even going back to Terminator or Alien, is they go into he's just really good at world building. Yeah. And setting it and having a consistent tone and then directing people to where it's oh yeah, we're just here.
Yeah. I mean, the beginning of the film is super world building-y, which is fun. And I really like it because I love that kind of stuff. But they're introducing so many ideas that are just allegories to our world.
Yeah.
Like the ongoing war in Afghanistan and Iraq, just conservation, corporate greed, any kind of veteran kind of military stuff on top of the long war.
Yeah.
And it's just the world building's so dense, it's so cool, it's interesting, but it's also God, really putting it down our throats, all the theming and and message you're trying to put, which every
Yeah.
movie has. Like, I'm not trying to say Avatar's does it too much.
But
It's
there's
just,
just so
the
much-
way it's presented so heavily at the beginning.
I don't know.
And then there's even like preemptive strikes and like these allusions to like kind of Bush era
Yeah.
kind of like terminology with his preemptive strikes and I forgot the other buzzword they use. It's just like it's not. It feels like someone who like likes the idea of being on the right side of like history or something,
Yeah.
and like throw. I don't know. Like it just doesn't feel genuine, I guess.
Well, I'd say too, it's like, well, I don't know. It's an interesting thing because it's like, is it disingenuous because there's just so much of it? Because it's just like, that's all happening in real, like, because it's like, if you were to go and it's like, oh, this is happening in real life. Like, if you were to go back to earlier this year, it's like, oh, we got the coronavirus pandemic. Oh, Trump is also doing his thing with the election. Oh, and also there's like the Bitcoin stuff or whatever, and like all that sort of stuff that's really happening in real life all at once. And this movie, like, is it unrealistic because it's alien? Because that's one of the things, like, even as you're saying it, and I agree with everything you're saying, where it's like, here's buzzwords, here's hitting a thing, but or is he just putting together the pieces of the puzzle, and like, that's just really what's there?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think everyone's seen this movie more or less because it is one of the highest grossing movies ever.
Yeah.
There's some level of understanding that, but what is it? How do you synopsize this movie?
It's I think it's closer to Dances with Wolves in Space
Yeah, people always say Ferngully,
or Pocahontas.
and people who say Ferngully or Pocahontas is like, well, you haven't seen Dances with Wolves then.
Dances with Wolves.
It is Dances with Wolves
because that's the one that hits me because he's like, oh, he is a combat veteran
Yeah.
who goes out here to do this mission that he's like, I'm kind of at the end of my rope. I don't really know what I'm doing, and then he finds purpose in. Well, in Dances with Wolves, he finds purpose in like, hey, I'm here on my own. I'm like holding this one homestead, and he like, there's like, having read the book where there's like whole like chapters where he's just like, man, fucking horses are so cool.
Yeah. It just has a whole new perspective on life, learns to appreciate things.
Yeah.
Kind of it's the story of this.
Yeah.
It's the story of Dances with Wolves.
That's what I would
I
say.
was always so frustrated about that because in high school, it was like, yeah, Pocahontas, and I feel like I was the only person that saw Dances with Wolves, which I get. You know, it's an old Kevin Costner film, and
Yeah.
it has a weird name where you're like, I don't want to watch a man dance. Like, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But so that's like, it's like, so military veteran takes his brother's place in this scientific program. It's kind of hard to synopsize. It's essentially Dances with Wolves in Space.
Yeah.
But military man.
He said there. So there's humans colonizing this planet or strip mining this planet, this company, and they need this material and they need to get to their home. The kind of the natives, their home is where the unobtainium is.
Unobtainium.
Oh yeah, that is. And so kind of Jake Sully, who, so they have these avatars so people can kind of neurologically connect and then control what the natives are, which are these giant blue aliens.
Yeah.
And like obviously very, very inspired by U.S. or not U.S. Sorry, I would rather just say just North American native kind of cultures.
Oh yeah.
Very derivative of that, which is why Dances with Wolves is definitely, I guess, Pocahontas, but like it's just whatever.
It's more
so he's just trying to infiltrate them, and then he learns to love them and appreciate them, and there's definitely a huge white savior thing, especially when he becomes their god.
Yeah.
In essence, they're like their living legend.
Figure. I was thinking as I was like, yeah, oh man, what they really need is an outsider. What they really need is an outsider to reinterpret their beliefs that they've been living, so they can really reconnect with their beliefs or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a.
I mean, I don't see that. It's the weird thing is it's so full of messages, and then it has that. And I don't think I think you can interpret it as that, but I think it's as simple as like, let's have a kind of that moment of discovery and seeing a new world, and then realizing kind of your world sucks.
Yeah.
I think is how it's meant to be.
Yeah. I think,
or just learning the fault in the ways of like kind of man and like I don't know, destructiveness, and he's changing. I think it's more of a story of him. Like the white savior thing is right there.
Yeah.
But it's just like,
well,
it's there. That's the end product. But the story is.
I mean, here's the thing. I think this movie is designed. It is designed to make money because it's visually stunning, and especially we could talk about the theater experience of Avatar versus just seeing it on Disney Plus or whatever. And also, yes, it's full of messages, but it doesn't browbeat you with them. There's just a lot there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't it's very, I mean, again, I know that it's there's a lot in there. Oh, corporate greed. Oh, military industrial complex. And white savior. But all of that, because I found, whenever I was watching it again and probably for the first time since I saw it in theaters, really. Yeah. I think I'd seen it in pieces. For me, it'd been
close to 10 years.
Yeah. But when Jake Sully is given his speech at the end, where he's like, there may be a day where the men of more they go away, but it is not this day. He's given that speech, and I'm like, fuck, hell yeah, dude.
I mean, this movie makes you feel things. You are there for the ride,
because that's the thing.
Even when he was flying down on the last shadow creature.
Taruk.
I was like, wow, this is. I mean,
it's like, oh fuck yeah, that's cool, dude.
I'm gonna throw out the white savior buzzword again. I was like, huh, but then it was just like, the hell, I'm here for it. This, I don't know. The movie made you feel the emotions, and you went through the ride, and
because it hits on those things that connect you with it automatically.
Yeah.
Where you're like, I want to keep this. I want to do this. Oh my gosh, this is so because it connects and it hits on all those things.
Yeah.
That's that's what James Cameron is so good at. With even this is Michelle Rodriguez, right?
Yeah.
Where it's even her character coming in on her Banshee or whatever. I'm like, fuck yeah, she's got the face paint on.
Yeah, well,
fuck yeah, dude.
I was like, oh my god, the face paint's so lame, but I also love it.
It's yes, absolutely. She took the time to put the face paint on it before she got in the helicopter.
Yep.
Fuck yes.
It's I enjoyed this movie watching it again.
Yeah.
And I had a good time. I felt things. I had fun emotions and a good roller coaster of deep low lows and high highs.
Yeah.
And you felt like you learned something about
I mean, that's the beauty.
Yourself and a fictional planet.
That's the beauty of this stupid movie where it's it gives you nothing, but you feel accomplished walking out of it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't tell you anything that you already didn't know.
Yeah. Need to. I mean, you need. It might make you reflect in your place in our actual world.
Yeah.
Our actual existence.
Reinforce. Hey, don't fucking blow up, because it's very. And I think that's another thing that's really cool about it, is that instead of making it saving the Earth for Earth's sake, being environmentally friendly for Earth's sake, he was like, hey, listen, if you blow up these things that these people are using as their main things, you might kill them, because they are biologically connected. This planet is interconnected biologically. So it's not that by destroying the trees and destroying this stuff so that you can strip mine it for unobtainium, which I'm not sure, do we ever figure out what it does? He might have said it just a little bit, but
he said it's super valuable.
It's super valuable, and it's okay, I guess so.
Yeah.
But having it be a biological need for them to be like, hey, listen, this is how they continue on and carry on, in a much more obvious way.
Mm-hmm.
Than I think, because I think personally, I think that for us, that's planting trees for if I were to have a kid and plant a tree for him, and then my grandkid was able to climb on that tree or something like that, that's a cool fucking thing.
Yeah.
But it's not I could still have grandkids if I don't plant that tree.
Mm-hmm.
But so tying it biologically to them.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of fun concepts at play too that aren't obviously they're kind of out there, but they're very understandable, very obtainable. Unobtainium.
Nice.
I always thought unobtainium. Oh God, that word.
Unobtainium.
I thought that was just like a made up like buzzword and phrase for things that are hard to get. I didn't really because I forgot it had come from this.
Oh yeah.
But,
it's like it's almost like they were like, again, I think like I talked about in like Falcon and Winter Soldier, where it was like, all right, it's called fucking unobtainium.
Yeah.
Because it's like really hard to get. We'll come up with a better name later. And then it got through. It kept going through. Like, we'll come up with a better name later. Like, what? Like, what could it do?
Yeah.
What could it be? Like, what could it? Is like, it's just fun. It's what if? Hey, here's a crazy thought. What if it's just unobtainium? And like,
and this, yeah.
yeah, and like this is me and the writers. Like, I'm James Cameron. It's like we can't figure out a name, and he's tired of thinking about it, tired of talking about it.
He's just like whatever.
It's just unobtainium, and it's very valuable. That's all we need.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very simple.
There's so many different cool like layers for you to connect to in this movie.
It also it's good having different characters too, like different character archetypes. But then, which any movie has with the cast. But I don't know. Like I just felt like the characters were fun.
Yeah, and it doesn't. But I also feel like it doesn't hit them over the top. Where it's like even the science, like everybody feels real.
Yeah.
Like everybody feels real. Like I think that's one of my favorite moments is scientist guy, like the one who's like slightly jealous.
Oh, I love that because I was like, oh my God, is he gonna like betray him because he's bitter?
But then
I was like, and then it kept going. I was like, no, that was just a normal emotional kind of thing for him.
And
like
he
it didn't
comes
have
back around and he's like, this is still cool.
Yeah,
you know, and they come around and they kind of become friends. And then whenever scientist guy, he's like charging into battle and he's like, I'm on a horse and I'm shooting a gun.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
I think Norman?
Maybe Norman.
Yeah.
But I just like, I also love that whenever that happens, whenever like the sort of like the stereotype, like stereotypical nerdy guy nerdy guy or nerdy girl, either way, like stereotypical scientist person who stays inside becomes aggro and is like, yeah, I feel it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Neville Longbottom or something in Harry Potter.
Yeah. Neville's is very satisfying, though, because it happens over the course of 7 books.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, fuck yeah, Neville.
I wish he could have avenged his parents.
Yeah.
And not fucking Mrs. Weasley.
Yeah.
It's like they almost wrote that in, or J.K. Rowling wrote that in for that, like, joke or something. I don't know.
Well, but also, I mean, I would say too, it's like,
I mean, that's fine.
You don't get like I would say, like her writing it that way, it's like you don't get everything you want. Like it would be too fan servicey if like Jon killed Dany at the Iron Throne, or something like that. Like that would be like they would just like.
I think that's fine because not everything has to be connected and earned.
Yeah.
But nothing takes the cake with Arya killing the Night King. Yeah. That wasn't like there was nothing there. That was just
love Arya.
That was the D&D dudes. Just they loved Arya. They loved Maisie Williams. They like loved everything about that character and everything about her with the actor. But I don't think, I think they loved her so much that they thought everyone else felt the same way.
Yeah. Well, and I liked Arya, but I think that Arya
was so many characters in that show had a roller coaster of just like you hating them.
Yeah.
And
well, because they did a lot of them stuff to themselves.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that was good about that show. Towards the end of the show, when everyone's like, everything is like coming up for them and everything's working out.
Yeah.
You know? Like.
And then it all falls apart.
And then, But it's like, all right. Because that was one of the things that made this show great was like things not always working out the way that they wanted them to. And it being a roller coaster where you're like, yeah, of fucking course that didn't work out for you, you idiot.
Yeah. Well, Game of Thrones is a piece of shit.
Yeah, anyway.
I loved it, but I hate it.
Yeah, I hear you.
So Avatar, yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun. I think I knew I was going to have a lot of fun. I've been having an itch to watch it for a long time. You know, I got this lovely movie podcast that just gives me the excuse to watch it and make you watch it too.
And didn't you just go to Disneyland just to?
Yeah, I've been to Disney World, Animal Kingdom 3 times. I've been to Avatar
since the last episode.
Yeah, since the last Avatar movie. I've been many times, but I've been 3 times since the Pandora part of the park was there. And every time I go, you think, yeah, I'm going to fucking go watch this movie. And I never really felt that.
Yeah.
But I've always had a little bit of I want to watch this. I want to watch this. And I guess it took me 3 times going to Central Florida and to go to Pandora to watch it. And I will say that it did make this a lot more enjoyable, having been in the Pandora land and seeing the floating mountains and going on the river journey and seeing the Avatar, the Na'vi shaman and all the little plants like the little whirling lizards and the cats and all that. And it, the Ikron, the flight of passage ride where you go in and you fly one and you're kind of mounted on one the way they are.
Yeah.
And the machine that you're mounted on like breathes between your legs.
Weird.
And you're like moving through and it's like 4D and they pipe in smells and you're flying around. It's awesome. So like that made this so much more enjoyable.
Yeah.
It was really cool. And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, Ikron. I've been there.
What's the Ikron?
The Banshees.
The Banshees.
Yeah. So it made me appreciate that, and it's kind of cool too because the Pandora land in Animal Kingdom is set after this, where the strip mining company is out, and then there's a new conservation effort.
Yeah,
and that's what everyone's focused on, and there's some coexisting and stuff, and it's cool.
Huh. That is cool. That's one of the things where it's like I love that sort of like even in because I've only been talking about Harry Potter's the Wizarding World of Harry Potter and Universal or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's Universal.
That's really fucking cool too. And I'm just like I can only imagine with something as like lush and alive as this. Part of me is like a little bit disappointed that they made Animal Planet or Animal Kingdom
the place for it.
Like the place for it because I guess it makes sense, but
the conservation theming fits it really well because that's kind of the overarching theming of Animal Kingdom.
And Animal Kingdom didn't really have any like righty type stuff except for like Safari. I've actually never been to Animal Kingdom.
They needed it, and the land that it took over was Camp Minnie Minky, and that was just a character meet and greet, so it didn't come at the expense of anything.
Gotcha.
So, and it definitely added a lot to the park because I'd say the park is still a half a day, 3/4 day park.
Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
I think. Well, let's kind of like transition there into talking about the experience of watching this movie.
Yeah. Let's
on your on your TV versus
paint the picture. We're in high school.
Yeah.
And 3D. James Cameron's in the news and 3D, and it's like this is the way that movies will be. Enjoyed in the future, and it's stuck a little bit.
And people
it's
are
still
like,
here,
okay,
kind of.
Okay, yeah.
But when you saw this, you're like, yeah, I think this guy knows what he's talking about.
Well, when you go see it, like, when did you?
I saw it in theaters.
Yeah.
I saw it in like a nice big, like a step below IMAX, and I loved the way the movie looked. It wasn't so much it was just depth. It was because I think James Cameron got it. Like the 3D is just depth in the shot. So he has the glass on the ships.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's an exterior shot and you see the people, but there's a shimmer of the reflection or the ferns, the texture they have, or the monitors that are in front of you. It's very simple, but it was awesome. Because before then, like my notion of 3D was like Spy Kids 3D, and it was like gimmicks and shit flying at you.
And that's like what sort of an issue was how they did afterwards, because that was the thing is like the 3D. Like I don't remember it before this movie. I know that it existed. I know that they had like it was kind of like a hey, My Bloody Valentine 3D.
It was always very tongue in cheek. Like there's no like real artistic craft in the project, I guess.
But this movie, I remember going to see it. I remember seeing the trailer and being like, what the why?
Yeah.
What is this? This isn't Batman. This isn't this isn't I don't know, because this came out in a really weird time before the Marvel machine started really kicking.
Yeah.
And like before
this was after Dark Knight.
It was after Dark Knight. But it was also like it was before this, like, because Dark Knight, because again, just to kind of like paint the picture of like box office wise too, because it was like Titanic had made $600 million in 1997, and that was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then Dark Knight came, and that made like $560 or $535 million in the box office, and that was like, I think it was number 2. You know?
Yeah,
and now,
obviously,
Dark Knight is sitting at, because I looked it up, and I think it's at 12.
Well, a lot of the Marvel movies bumped these stuff down, and then the new Star Wars. I mean, Disney dominates the top list.
Yeah, it's Star Wars, Avengers Endgame, Avatar, Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, Titanic, still, Jurassic World, Avengers, Star Wars, Last Jedi, Incredibles 2, and then
Really?
and then the new Lion King, and then the Dark Knight.
The new Lion King?
Yeah, the new Lion King beat the Dark. It also might have had re-releases or something. I don't fucking know.
I mean, I like the new Lion King. It made me like. I know it didn't need to be made.
It made me want to watch the animated one.
It did that, but it like. I got to. It was the first movie I ever saw, and I obsessed over it, and I do remember it. You know, despite being as young as I was, and so going as an adult, and it was a different movie, so it was like a different. So I was able to kind of. Yeah. I don't know, there's something relived and touched in there. I don't know.
Yeah.
That I really enjoyed, and that was like, it was like that chasing of nostalgia. You can't replicate, because how can you replicate seeing a movie as a 3-year-old?
Yeah.
You can't. But that got me really close to it.
No.
So like, I get why people are like, this is stupid, why'd it have to happen? But I was cool with it.
But I still I think that it was better than Aladdin. But that also might be because I think Aladdin was my first movie in theaters.
Really? Okay.
So, and I also think because Aladdin strayed so far from the source material, and then when it did like kind of mirror the source material, it did it in a way that was not satisfying. It just was not very good. No disrespect to Guy Ritchie, man, he's one of my favorites.
I didn't really understand the whole guy, like why that was weird until I started watching Guy Ritchie films. I was like, oh. This must have been weird for people who like these movies, and then heard he was making Aladdin.
I feel like every once in a while he does that, because he made like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, and then he made Snatch, and then he was married to Madonna, so he made Swept Away with her, and it was I still haven't seen Swept Away. Granted, I became a Guy Ritchie fan when any high school age boy does in high school, because my English teacher is like, I go watch Two Smoking Barrels, huh?
Did you have a British teacher?
No, he didn't.
Oh.
But he did that in this retelling of it. But I just
the reimagined story.
But just to kind of like go back to like the box office, where it was like this movie blew it up, where it was like for a while, like if you got, and again, not to like, it became kind of a thing where it was just like, it had like this sort of like boulder down a hill, and because that's the same thing. Again, if you just look at it like business wise, that's the same thing that Titanic did, where for whatever reason James Cameron is really good at hitting those things, because that's the difference now is a lot of the box office, a lot of the movies, they'll make the first quarter, if not half of their total gross in their opening weekend. Yeah. And then it'll fall off. But like Titanic was a consistent, like it grew. Like its opening was like $20 million. We could look at it.
It's just kind of the phenom kind of thing. I mean, look at Fortnite. Yeah. You know, it's just the word of mouth.
I just think it's crazy that he did it twice. Like he had Titanic, that was that like sort of phenom thing, and then he was able to do the same thing. Like this essentially with Avatar.
Yeah, so this makes a lot more sense because like kids can like get animals and bright colors. Yeah. So but the Titanic one is even more impressive, I think.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's listen, the parallels between these two movies as well is also really fun. Not in terms of like, but like the story structure of it, where it's like it's essentially two movies. Yeah. Where it's like the first half of the movie is like, hey, here's all the characters, here's all the reasons to care, here's all the stakes, here's all the threads. And then the second half is like the second movie where it's like, all right, here's the thing that happens. Yeah. The iceberg hits the Titanic, And all these threads, either we have to solve or we have to blow past them because the iceberg blows us up.
Yeah.
Same thing with this, where it's like, you know, we have all these threads.
Well, I like thought you were talking about this movie until you said Titanic, because it's the same setup.
So I wonder too, like if that's like where it's like the same way that he hits those really easy, the same way that he hits those really easy like emotional points where it's like environmentalism. Also, if you like guns, there's some cool fucking gun kai stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like the extremes of like the kind of military corporate world.
Yeah.
It has those things, and then it has like the super nature animals and all this stuff.
But I think too, like this Stephen Lang, always call him the Colonel, but I don't know if he's a colonel or if they ever say that. He just looks like a colonel.
Yeah, he's just a leader of this PMC group.
But he does such a great job.
He's so good
of being the bad guy and being clearly bad, but also he's not stupid.
Yeah.
And he's not evil.
No.
Like, and that's one of the things that I think is like really interesting is that there's a scene where he is talking to Giovanni Ribisi and is like, I'll throw in gas. We could do it humane, sort of.
Yeah.
You know?
Like he's just a guy doing a job. He's kind of that kind of American archetype of not giving a fuck, I guess, about anything besides themselves.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's evil. And then it also means it is maybe a little relatable. At least not to yourself or maybe someone you know or something you see.
But it's also clearly not good.
Yeah.
But I think, too, he's not one note. Like, that's one of the things that's really interesting is the scene where Jake Sully is like, yo, he's like, hey, man, I got you your legs back. I'm going to get you back. You're going to leave tomorrow, dude. You've done a great freaking job. You're out of here. Yeah. And Jake Sully is like, hey, I got to go back in and I think
I can negotiate.
I can negotiate so that they're free, but I just got to do this one more thing. And he's like, Stephen Lang, again, I don't know his character's name. I just know the actor. He like looks at him and he's like, okay, man, you got to do it.
You got an hour.
You got to do what you got to do.
Even Giovanni Ribisi, like you can see his character struggling.
Yeah. And he like, and again, even as he is, I think he is the real bad guy who gives Stephen Lang.
Yeah, he has the power.
Yeah, he gives Stephen Lang the allowances to be the guy that is the bad guy.
Yeah.
But Giovanni Ribisi is the one who's actually calling the shots.
Yeah.
And in the end is like, go ahead, blow it up.
Yep, but he's not happy about it.
Yeah, but he's not, and he's like, I don't know. And I think that's sort of like...
It's such a simple, like, the gray area villain. But I think this is another way to do it, and I think this is probably the more sustainable way. But is just like, you I don't know.
And I think it's...
what we've been talking about, I guess.
I think, too, it's like a definitive gray area villain. Where it's like, he is the villain, he's a bad guy. And like...
He's going against the interests of the people that... Like, it's just that simple. He's going against their interests.
And even his trepidation, it's like... It's up to interpretation, but it's not like false. It's like, is he being honest with his trepidation, or is he putting on a show, or is he really having some trepidation about this?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just it's an interesting thing. Because it's so funny. Again, tying it back to Titanic, Billy Zane's character, whenever he's like, I have a child. And there's like some real fucking honesty in that. When in that moment he's like, fuck, I really want to kill Leonardo DiCaprio, but fuck, I don't want to die. I really don't want to die. Give me this child. I have a child. Get me on a boat. I have a child. And it's like, shit, dude, I wouldn't do that. Maybe. And you're like, no, I would. No, not me. No.
No, I mean, I 100% as a kid, I'd watch that and be like, yeah, get me on that fucking boat. I'm on that boat.
Give me, yeah.
Because like, and that movie always gave me like a terror of like being on the water. I'd be on a river and I'd be like, oh my God, I don't want this fucking thing to sink.
Where's the fucking iceberg coming?
I remember my dad was like, John, if it does, look, there's a bank over there.
It's right there, bud.
And there's a bank over there.
You know how to swim, right?
Yeah. Just
But it's just really like I think it's really fun because those villains aren't they're not one note, but they're also not there's no
they're not Thanos.
They're
not the idea of Thanos.
Well, there's
way
no
people like
I think there's no chance of them changing their mind. Like
Yeah.
know that they're not going to change their mind, but you also know that they're human.
yeah, which Thanos isn't.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Thanos is not human.
He's a Titan, right?
He's
Is
a
that
Titan,
the-
yeah. He's a deviant Titan.
Like he's like a
Like he's a deviation.
mutant.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like a because that's what the Titans are or something like or I don't know. Someone hey, get in the comments and tell me you know.
Well, talk about like Zoe Saldaña, like
Yeah.
all the Avengers movies and the Guardians movie and this, like she's in these.
Yeah.
This sounds stupid. She's
She
in
is.
these.
She's in them.
But like that's pretty prolific. Like that's like
yeah.
you know, people don't talk
She's
about her
in
enough.
she's in 3 out of the top 5 movies on the box office.
Which is insane, and like she's obviously super famous, but like I don't know, there's still people that you like names like that you think of more than her in acting.
Yeah.
So that's noteworthy.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It's very cool.
I mean, she's always super made up. Like this is motion capture, and the other one she's all green. But I mean, obviously in Guardians and Avengers, you see her. You can see that it's
Yeah.
But it's still, I don't know.
But I'd say in this too that there's part of it where it's like, as far as like acting performance-y type stuff, the Avatar one is a little bit more extreme, and so it's like
It makes up for
Again-
the lack of facial, because like she's crouching around and hissing and doing all
Yeah.
that stuff. It's super cool, and I love the movement of the mother.
yeah,
Like it's so subtle, but her movement is so like crickety, but also graceful.
yeah,
And the shot, like after the tree gets blown up and she's coming to Jake Sully when he's tied up, it's such a cool shot, and her movement and her sorrow. There's so much going on there.
Oh, that freaking got me.
Yeah,
Where she was like, "Oh, if you're here to fucking do something."
yeah.
It's so good. Yeah, I mean, well, so what happened with this, and this is like a perfect example. Like after this movie, everyone was like, "Yo, we gotta do fucking 3D now, right? We gotta do 3D now."
Yeah,
And it fucking sucked.
yeah. I mean, the only
what was the other good movie? Was there another good movie that was in 3D?
I mean, there's tons that like were good movies, and you could go see it in 3D, and it just had that depth.
Yeah.
And I'd say that's what this movie was. Like, there was no movie 3D that came out. You know,
Yeah.
I think this set the bar of like it can add depth visually.
Well, I think
You know,
it too,
and then most movies then on were always shot with a 3D camera in mind, or also there, or whatever. So they had that footage. And I mean, I saw half of the Marvel films in 3D, and I didn't hate it. It's just like normally I would try not to.
It was always $3 more
Yeah.
for like a nominal difference in the experience. Except for this movie, I would say that.
Well, this movie's you do have the shots, like I said, with the glass is the huge one.
Yeah.
But in Marvel, you know, it gave like the
anything-
Marvel movies. There's just a little bit extra depth, and you're like, okay, cool.
Well, and anything too with the space, like the flying sequences,
Yeah,
was incredible in 3D.
I mean, that's what you get to do that in that
And it really also
that Disney ride.
I guess I never like how good of a video game this is, you know?
Yeah,
Because it's like this is like the best cutscenes in any of the movies,
yeah.
you know?
I mean, the montage scene happens, and he's like, "I'm becoming I understand the people," and blah blah blah, and using the vlogs as the backdrop of the monologues, and even or as the backdrops of the montages was really nice touch too, because it felt genuine, I guess.
Yeah.
And you know, it contextualized them and gave them weight instead of cut to music and put a bunch of stuff together. Instead, it's like it just contextualizes that I'm doing this and and this is like you see it, and it's very showing and telling, which I like. I like in this setting, and it's done really well.
But I just want to is like I think that the main sort of like drawback of watching this movie not on the big screen is that in the 3D like big screen, like almost you're talking about like the 4D stuff, is that like it would almost be better served as like a live show that you like need to see, like even more than just like something like Tenet that you could like that I think also is like bolstered, like something like Tenet or like some like big spectacle where it's bolstered or maybe it's a little bit better by seeing it on the big screen.
Yeah.
You know, this movie even more so because of like sort of that immersive feel and look of everything, where you get to be in this brand new place, in addition to like the spectacle.
Yeah, I mean, I think for sure if this movie was out once a week,
yeah,
or once for a week or 2 weeks, once a year,
yeah,
I'd probably go back and see it every 1 to 4.
I probably would too.
I'd see it every 4 years or every couple years. I would go.
Especially if they threw an intermission in there.
Yeah.
If they threw an intermission in there, I mean, I don't know.
I mean,
if it's happening once a year,
yeah.
Maybe I'd go see it.
Especially like, years down the road or something, like it can be appreciated as like the movie that did this 3D thing best, and so that's part of it. I don't know, whatever. So I think I kind of wanted. So I was touching on the Disney park and how it's like the conservationist setting and it's like takes place after this movie, yada yada. So where do you think the next 3 or 4 movies, what do you think they do?
Apparently they go underwater.
Yeah, so for my
I have no, like
the only detail I've really heard is that like they've been being worked on, and that there's an element of seeing different tribes or different elements of Pandora. Like there's gonna be a water movie, there's gonna be a lava movie. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so
that's
what I know. I don't know if it'll be Jake Sully. I don't know if it'll be a time jump.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like because it's interesting to have this movie come out, and then over 12 years later, the story continues.
Does it continue? Yeah. Or are we just going back to Pandora?
Yeah.
That's the thing that I wonder.
I'm leaning towards us going back to Pandora.
Yeah, because I know
in the aftermath of this, years later.
I know that they cast kids, or something like that. Like they've got I think that they might be following kids, as like
so kind of like a boyhood, but over 4 movies.
Maybe, I don't know. I know that there's something with kids. Kate Winslet is in one of them. And she broke Tom Cruise's record for holding her breath underwater the longest. Because Tom Cruise previously held the record.
Of course he did.
But
he's probably so pissed about that.
He's God.
That man doesn't live from. There's not much that makes him feel alive, I bet. And holding those obscure records and pushing his body those limits for the camera.
Yeah, especially now that he's like, I feel like, listen, God forbid, he's also. We gotta say he's like, a Scientologist, and like they're a cult, and there's a lot of bad allegations and stuff. So there's like some confusing feelings I have about that. But also Tom Cruise is like a kind of a national treasure because like none of his movies are really bad.
No.
He is not a great actor, but he's also a really good actor.
He's a fun actor.
He knows exactly what he's doing when he's out there, and I feel like so it's like, man, we might, like, he's almost my dad's age. We might not get fucking Tom Cruise fucking hanging on to airplanes for very much longer.
What else? I've said it before in this podcast. I look forward to Old Man Cruise. Like I want to see him grizzled beard. Do some grizzled old man beard shit, like old man strength. Like let's bring it out. Like I don't like. It's fine right now, but if he keeps hanging on to his youth, artificially, which he's done really extremely well to this point,
surprisingly well.
But it'll definitely get kind of sad to see, like the Steven Seagal.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's obviously fat, but and washed out. But he's
Sylvester
trying.
Stallone, too,
he's trying to hang on to youth, and Stallone for sure as well. But I think he embraces him being old in movies though, like Creed and Creed 2. Yeah. He is an old man.
Yeah. Yeah,
Where
definitely.
Tom Cruise's vanity does not let him touch that right now.
Yeah, he's not the however 60 years old he actually is.
Yeah.
He's like 45.
Yep. Yeah, we always said he's good at being 10 or 15 years younger than his actual age.
Yeah. I have literally, that's like kind of doubling back to what you were talking about, is like what are these next supposed 4 movies going to be? It's like the other question I have is, do people care?
Yes, that's the big thing. That was like when the Pandora Land came out. It's like, wait, why?
Yeah,
why'd that? And even the Disney Imagineers and all them people are like, do people care?
Yeah,
and people came out. I think that's more of I think that spoke more to the fandom of the parks and the brand of Disney.
Yeah,
and the childhood nostalgia than the Avatar brand. But
well, and I think too, people going to Animal Kingdom, they just want to see something new.
Yeah,
and like I think there's a weird. I think there's a weird like level where it's like James Cameron. It's like every time he does a movie, he also has to invent a new technique for the camera or build a new camera or something like that.
Yeah, so that's like, is there something new coming to the new movies?
Yeah,
or is it just this stuff done better? And also, quick rewind.
Do it
to 2009. And like the steamroll and the success of this is obviously because it was a spectacle.
Yeah.
Like take out the 3D, it just looks really good and it holds up today. Obviously you can see a little datedness, but like it holds up today real well.
Yeah. I mean, even seeing it on the little screen, it's like, wow, this is really cool. There's sometimes like when he's doing the Jaguar Displacer Beast Feist or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, it's a little video gamey, and like sometimes the like color or the shine on them, on the avatars is a little weird. They're a little shiny.
Or when they're wet, they kind of really lean into it to hide stuff.
Yeah.
But then there's other times, like when he's covered in the mud, it's like he sticks his tongue out and like the texture in his tongue and him like wiping the grit off, like it looks real good.
So I mean, well, and it's like I feel like you can see.
Like I think the human green screen elements looked way worse than the all CGI elements, which I think says a lot.
Yeah,
and it's pretty cool.
Well, you could tell too the lighting of like some of those like set scenes or some of those green screen scenes.
Yeah, it
looks weird.
It's a little too uniform.
Yeah.
But then we also know the rules of lighting on this planet.
Yeah.
With a single source and artificial light above us. There are, I don't know what the sun situation is, but there's a huge celestial body. Giving out all kinds of light. So who knows?
Because technically, I think Pandora is a moon.
Yeah. So like, if there's some weird lights, because there are like the edges, they're very like halo effect, like backlit by this kind of like ambient blue a lot, or this ambient washed out white.
But it's consistent too, which goes to what we were talking about, even with the papyrus.
Yeah.
Where it's like it's still consistent, and it doesn't. I think more so than not taking you out of the world, even the flaws work to keep you in the world more, which is one of the things that even if they're like, again, even if he's playing in tropes and like it's kind of like, yeah, whatever, here's a story. Like that's one of the things that I think is the biggest drawback and also like the biggest plus for this movie is like, here's a story. It looks really cool and it's told really well. Yeah. It's not new. I'm not really changing anything.
Yeah. Maybe some cringy stuff in it, but you're going to fucking like it anyways. Because your monkey brain is going to enjoy fun stuff in front of you.
Yeah.
Like
Protect
it's just going to be like there's just going to be that primal like, David versus Goliath,
Yeah. That's what it is. It just like definitely connects up to like those primal things where you're just like, all right, cool.
I'm here for it.
But yeah, I don't know what the next freaking what the next step is.
I mean,
if I care, you know what? I'll probably go see it.
Yeah, I'll 100% see it, and I think I care. Like watching this, like Neteria, like I really like that character. I really like. There's such a like innocence.
I also like Jake Sully.
And Jake Sully, the way he bounces off of her, and the way he just genuinely loves her, it's like a healthy relationship, I guess, to see. And even then, when her hurt, when he betrays her, and her like it's so real.
Yeah,
like it's it's awesome, and it makes you fall in love with the characters, and like you kind of invest your emotions in them. And I would like to see them. I just don't know how. Like, I think their stories are told real well. You know, like, you know, if I'm here, like, what would the next movies be? You know, like in my head, Horde gets back to the Earth and they come back with more guns. Yeah. Like that's all that's the only direction I can see it going. You know, unless they
that doesn't feel interesting though.
It's not interesting, and unless they stick with inner clan and inner Na'vi like politics and controversy, but I don't see that being interesting. And then so if it is a child cast of Na'vi going through the like, still like what is interesting there? And
well, it's funny because I read an article recently that like James Cameron, as they were working on these new movies with his writers, is like they had a really hard time. Where he was like, I'm gonna fire you guys. You know, he's like, these are boring. Where he was like, I'm gonna fire you. He's like, because the main thing was about making new stories instead of like trying to recreate the first movie or like analyzing what worked in the first movie.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, I think the shitty thing is what worked in this movie
is that it wasn't a new story.
Yeah, so you can't do that.
The story is the least interesting thing, and I think too that like kind of shows like James Cameron's like, yeah, when I wrote this, I was just like, all right, this, all right, this, all right, this. Here are my resources I'm pulling from for his like D&D campaign where he's like, all right, I'm gonna steal from this. Yeah. I'm gonna steal from this.
Well, it's the greatest hits of stuff, and it's in a great package.
Yeah.
And a package is singular.
And everybody likes it, and everybody's there for because it's the event.
Yeah. I will watch them, no doubt. You know, just because I watched this one and can't think of what the next one would look like.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go watch it. And people say that, like, I think that's the air of what people like. I don't know if I'll like. It's just like, you're gonna go fucking see it.
Yeah.
Why not?
You're gonna watch it.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. It's like I don't know. Even when at the time, whenever he was like, all right, yeah, I'm doing Avatar 2, 3, 4, and 5, baby. Even at the time, I was like, all right, why?
Yeah.
For what?
You know, I think everyone was like, why?
But
I'm still like, why?
I'm interested though.
The why now has been outlined though, because I mean, the whole again, I keep bringing up the Disney park, but like that is an investment.
Yeah.
And so they're gonna try and milk that.
Yeah.
And I think it was, I don't know. I don't know where it's gonna go. I don't know what it'll look like. It's like this just feels. It's not perfect, but it is in many ways also. You know, like A New Hope. It's not a perfect movie.
Yeah.
But it is perfect.
Yeah.
It is 100% what it needs to be.
Yeah.
And this movie is 100% what it needs to be, and it's hard to think. And A New Hope isn't the best comparison either, because there was something to build off of. I don't know. I guess I'm not just illustrating to myself more like how hard of a time I see.
Yeah.
What the next thing looks like.
Yeah. I mean, and especially what the draw is, because it's like, I'm not going to spend 4 movies exploring Pandora, you know, especially statically.
Yeah.
If you made 4 video games, and I could be a Na'vi and like get a Taruk or whatever.
Yeah, then cool.
Then fuck yeah. Create a VR experience for me.
Well, that's why my understanding is it's going to be different settings. You know, water Na'vi,
which feels like again this whole movie, like the beginning of the
tree Na'vi. This is the tree Na'vi movie.
Yeah.
You know, and then we'll get the
water Na'vi.
Yeah, and the plains Na'vi.
It's just because I remember like watching the beginning of this movie and being like, this is like the 10-minute cutscene where. This is like the 10-minute cutscene before you go into the Assassin's Creed games or whatever like that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'm a soldier. Here's my backstory.
Yeah.
Here's why I'm out
here.
Yeah,
true. Sam Worthington's. I think he did a lot of video game voice acting too.
Probably. That's one of my biggest disappointments out of this the 3D era was Clash of the Titans. I feel like I've talked about this before, but it was such a big disappointment.
Yeah.
Because I saw it when they still did the midnight showings of stuff.
I hated those.
Me and my brother did a triple feature where we watched 3 movies and the closing on Clash of the Titans, and not only was it bad, it was also at midnight.
Yep.
You know?
I think the last midnight release I did was Snow White and the Huntsman.
Oof.
And I fell asleep in that movie.
I can't think about.
And then I never did one again.
I think maybe Man of Steel. Did they do it? That might have been the last one. If I also might be misremembering, because I know
a good idea.
You know what the strangest one that I went to? I went to a midnight release of Funny People.
What the fuck?
I did not. Well, I didn't know
Is
that
like
it was
a
what it
3-hour
was.
long Judd Apatow movie too?
Yeah, but it's also like a drama.
Yeah.
Like it's a drama that I was like, oh man, Adam Sandler and Seth Rogen are gonna be cutting it up. Holy shit, this is gonna be great stuff. And it wasn't that. It was like, oh shit, man, he's not happy with success, dude. He's not. He's a shell of himself.
So good.
He's not happy with where he is. But I want to talk about one of my favorite things, or a couple of my favorite things, real quick. Is Jake Sully's excitement about the world, which is a perfect mirror of ours. Like as his first day,
perfect
and
surrogate stuff.
And he's like tapping the things, and he's like, "Oh, this is so fucking cool." And even after he gets saved from the little coyotes, he's like doing like the drums, and they're lighting up, and he's like, "Oh, fuck, this is cool as shit."
He's such a good the concept of a surrogate character. So we're watching the movie. A surrogate character is you live the movie through them. You know, especially when it's a new experience or fish out of water. And so this movie has that clearly with Jake Sully.
Yeah.
Or Sully. I say Sully like
because that's how Jake Sully.
Yeah.
Jake
so this
Sully.
movie does it so well because he has a personality, but he also is kind of a dry cut guy at the same. He's passionate, he has heart.
Yeah.
He's also kind of plain. And
well, he does what you would hope to do.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do more so with the actor than the character.
Yeah.
Because I think Sam Worthington's kind of a drier guy.
Yeah.
He was
They
perfect.
wanted to make him.
He was a perfect cast.
Yeah. No, especially in this movie, he's perfectly cast, and I'm sure he's set.
Yeah.
You know, but another one of my favorite things too is him squashing his beef with Tsutse.
Yeah, his brother.
The brother
from another mother.
You're my brother. You know.
Well, what wins him over? Well, he slowly gets his respect as just being competent.
Yeah.
And obviously, then the hammer falls. Like you're a traitor. You dreamwalker.
I get it. Like I remember thinking about that. He's like, see, he's a demon inside of a shell. It's like I don't know. He's kind of got a point, guys.
Yes. Oh no, he's not wrong. And then it's kind of sad that he gets won over by seeing this outsider kind of take the god claim.
Yeah.
And I kind of actually felt bad for him.
Yeah.
It was,
but
which was kind of cool to feel.
He also got my respect in that, where he was like, listen, where he's like, he sees him as a god thing, and he's like, okay, yeah. But also, like, then Jake Sully being like, listen, I don't want to be clan. This is your people.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to set right what I fucked up. Also, I'm sorry I banged your girl. I'm going to continue to bang your girl. Like, that's just a thing. I'm sorry about that. It's not personal.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it's definitely... And I think, too, you never get the sense that different than Pocahontas, where Bear Claw is not his name.
I've seen Pocahontas once when I was a child.
Talking about.
No.
Well, there's
I remember the raccoon and Pocahontas and John Smith.
Well, there's her, the native guy who's promised to her, who's like a good warrior and a good guy.
Yeah.
Same thing, but he is pursuing her, and again, not in like a, he's pursuing her in a way where it's like, hey, I got you this present because like we're betrothed and we're gonna do this, and I don't want things to be weird.
Yeah.
And Pocahontas is like, fuck you. It's a little bit softer than that, but essentially, and he's kind of like, and then he gets betrayed by that, and it's a little bit more active of a betrayal because he is. But this guy, Tsutsi, maybe I think
something like that. I don't know.
Where he's like, they're a little bit more equals, and you kind of get the sense that even though he's betrothed to Neytiri, and that's like the thing, he's like, I don't know, I can kind of go either way with it.
Yeah. Well, he's not not concerned with love.
Yeah. Also, I was like watching is like the colonel guy, Stephen Lang, there's got to be a part of him that's like, Of course, a freaking Marine.
Yeah,
is
Force
leading
Recon Marine.
Of course, man. Like, there's got to be part of him that's like proud that he's getting beat up by a Marine.
Well, that's part of that. Like, I don't know. It's like a U.S. trained Special Forces soldier mixed with this.
Yeah.
Apex predator. It's just like,
oh hell yeah,
cool.
dude.
It's like even it's like, yeah, he's going through their culture and their their people and their
but
stuff.
he's still a Marine.
But he's like he's a Marine. He has like, the human kind of construct and like that stuff, and that's why that's why he can be raised up that high.
Yeah.
It's just like it's very complicated.
It's very complicated, and also
contradicting and makes you feel weird, and you don't know where you sit.
Yeah.
But you just kind of turn that off and you watch it and you have fun.
Because you're just like, I'm having a great time. I do think it's kind of funny. Like, they never really touch on it because they're just like, hey, they've got these like things on their tail. They got their not the tail. They've got these things on their hair.
USB cables.
And they fucking. That's how they connect, and that's also maybe how they have sex.
How do they make babies?
Well, that's a question that I have. So here's my weird stuff. It's like the hair organ thing, where it's like, is it just like a neural link? Because if it is like a weird sexual organ thing, then it's like, are they having sex with these animals when they do that to them?
True, it doesn't. Well, I think that's just like that interconnectedness. I don't know.
Which is before because you could take that to like a weird place, a weird like negative place. But also there's just like the.
Well, I think it's still oneness. I don't know.
Yeah, no, and again, looking at it through our guys or our view, it's definitely different than how the Na'vi look at it, where it's like it could be a completely different thing.
Well, I think like one thing, this doesn't matter, but I don't think they should have had nipples.
They didn't.
No, the men do have nipples.
Oh.
And obviously the women probably do, and they're always covered by a leaf or something. But it's like, you know what, just don't give them nipples.
Yeah.
But then obviously, why do the women have, breast-shaped chests? Human breast shape.
To indicate that they're women.
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I guess. It
doesn't matter. Well, and then also, like, it's kind of like video game logic where Jake Sully is wearing this little loincloth, and we just saw him do like a jump where he like, it's like, listen, you would absolutely see his butthole.
Yeah.
And it's fine. I don't need to see his butthole, but
you're just thinking about butthole when you're
maybe
watching
just.
But we're humans. We're gonna wonder what
we're
about
gonna
that
wonder.
thing?
We're gonna wonder about nipples and buttholes.
We're gonna wonder about how do the sex work?
How do sex work?
Yeah.
Do he have part?
Yeah. Just,
how
do they make baby?
Or
just singular words. How do they make baby?
Or is his hair thing his penis? And do they produce through like trees? And like if they so they have to go to the tree spirit in order to have sex or to have a baby.
The thing is, James Cameron has all these answers.
I'm sure he has
in his
the answers.
notebook.
But so I would just sort of the thought is like later in the movie, so he's bonded, he soul bonds or whatever with this with the Banshee, and then he rides the Banshee to go, like he's like, all right, Banshee, I'm gonna go get to Taruk. And Banshee is like, okay, yeah, that's fine, I get it.
I did feel bad for the Banshee, the Ikran.
Banshee is like, okay, yeah, I guess so. They're real big and strong and stuff. So I guess I'm not good enough for you.
I know, it's like the old, like that guy's poor guy.
Yeah, poor Banshee. Yeah, that's like kind of the, and I feel like that sort of stuff's like, everybody's been talked to death, but it's just like, it's just interesting, and it's also like, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I think you just take it. You understand, like everything in this movie, you just kind of watch it and you accept it, I guess. Especially
because it is like, hey, we just here it is. They're connected. Don't worry about it. It's not that big of a deal.
It was just like everything in the movie. It's like unobtainium. We want it. Like it's just very simple, but it's not too simple. Like it's super simple, and you don't, it's disguised enough where you're not like feeling like you're getting shorthand.
Yeah.
Like they're like it can be done it's done in movies but you like that shorthand, cool, whatever. But in this movie you're being fed shorthand all the time, but you don't like.
But the package looks so good.
Yeah, I guess it could be just the way it looks, but it's all going over your head as being spoon fed information via visuals
well, and everything's
tropes.
everything's so established too. Like everything in the Na'vi culture is so established. So it's just like
you just take it and believe it.
They don't question it. Well, why would I? Like, and Jake Sully is just like, well, this is just how it works. So I'm just gonna do it like this.
Yeah, and I think it's just that master class. I hate that expression, but it's just that put on a clinic of of the surrogate storytelling.
Yeah, because they only have 3 fingers.
Yeah,
I didn't notice that until that shot right there. So they definitely. Oh, he
But
has
he's-
4 fingers. Oh, I noticed that too. I was like, it's kind of cool that they made Sigourney Weaver's character
look like
a
her.
little bit too because it's an earlier model, I would
Yeah,
assume.
yeah. She has to be like an OG.
So they were like, okay, well, we didn't get the bone structure on the nose right, so we'll change that.
Yeah, like probably had to earn more trust, or that probably like.
And then in next ones, they'll have in next iterations they'll only have 3 fingers or whatever.
Yeah.
Huh. What a freaking interesting thing.
So what did you not like in quick terms? I'll go first. Some of the slow-mo was a little out of place and weird.
Mm-hmm.
And then not necessarily a con, but there was just a little bit of that like, this is like, I feel like he feeling really cool and good about this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah. But also like, I don't know. Which I'm going to take it easy, lay it off. It's a movie. I'll enjoy it. I'm not going to feel guilty about it. But actively watching this in 2021, whatever, I guess.
Yeah, it's
I'll hand that off to you to clean up.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think with this movie, I don't know. It's such a perfect nothing of a movie where it's still like it hits things that are like good, but it's like it still hits the right notes of stuff, but never takes. I mean, it definitely takes a stance where it's like, hey, it doesn't take like this is the greatest evil in the world. It's like, this is because even the guys, even Giovanni Ribisi at one point, he says, I didn't make the rules. This is how it works.
Yeah.
You have something, I take it, that's how it works.
Yeah.
Sorry about it, and that's kind of the movie where it's just like, hey, this is how it is. And, you do what you can to not get crushed while doing it.
Yep.
I just don't think it's weird. Like, I think this movie had so little cultural impact.
Yeah, for how
big it
popular
was.
Yeah.
It had so little cultural impact. I mean, I'm sure.
I didn't even think about that because, like, Marvel, just look at kids, you know? Like, it's giving them heroes, it's giving them lessons.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Very simple. Like, that's going to resonate culturally.
Yeah.
This, maybe the
cool.
legacy is supposed to be the conservationalism and the protection of our land and
but it's
stuff
so
like that.
soft with all that stuff, which is fine, I think. Like, I think this movie is just designed to make money, and it's just like, hey, here's an experience, here's an event. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, this is like probably like the last true, like, hey, this is a movie purely for enjoyment.
Yeah.
I mean, probably not the last true or whatever, but like.
I mean, did you watch
this is the last
Mortal
true.
Kombat?
I don't. I could.
What are the messages there?
I would argue with that wasn't for enjoyment either.
No. It was. I don't know what.
But this, like, I think watching this in 2021 for me, was like, I don't know. Even like having gone through it and like kind of like sort of praise it, but it's like, it's just such a nothing movie where, yes, we got the environmental stuff. Yes, it looks really cool.
I mean, it makes me feel a lot of things.
But we don't make any decisions.
Yeah.
Jake Sully makes growth.
Yeah. It's a fun movie. It makes me feel a lot of things, which is not a lot of movies. I felt, like I said earlier, high highs and low lows, and I felt for the characters. I liked them. The emotion, and particularly Neytiri, it's really compelling, and I felt for her, and it was fun to look at too, because it was like a marvel to see the emotion expressed on this alien in 2009. There's a lot of things. I really liked it, and it's a 4 out of 5 movie for me. I think easily.
I think that this is like, I think that being that this is this is almost a parody of all, like, this is so blatantly like a white savior movie that it's almost a parody of it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like we can be done with those.
Yeah.
You know?
Could be the last one.
This could be the last one. This could be the one where, like, hey, here's every single trope. Like, if you watch this movie, you don't need to watch any of the other white savior movies.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like the Saving Private Ryan effect, only in reverse.
Yeah.
Like Saving Private Ryan.
This is the culmination of every single white savior movie. But, you know, it's just, I don't think it has a complicated legacy. I don't think it has much of a legacy at all because, and that's one of the things that I think is overstated, is the desire for more Pandora. I'm sure there's a select few of people who are going to disagree with me because they do body paint Na'vi and like they know the language and stuff or whatever, but I just don't think that
it's not culturally there.
Yeah, I just don't think that on a large scale people will give a shit.
But maybe they will.
I think people will still go see it, and I think it'll still make $400 million.
Yeah.
Because I'll go see it, but I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
What do you rate this movie?
I said earlier, four. Just because I like saying the word Ekron. 4 Ekron out of 5.
I'll give it. I'll give it 2 Ekrons out of 5 at home, but 4 out of Ekrons.
4 out of Ekrons.
4 out of 5 Taruks.
Yeah.
At the theater.
Yeah. So that's weighted.
Yeah. So it's because it's like
2 Taruks is 2 out of Taruks out of 5 is way more than 2 Ekrons out of 5.
Yeah.
So like do the math. Get back to us.
Yeah, get back to us. Find out what the
what's the Taruk to Ekron ratio. But for me, it's 4 out of 4 4 out of 5 no matter what. I really enjoy the movie.
I hear you.
It's just fun.
I get it. I just don't get anything from it watching it without the experience personally.
Yeah. Well, I get stuff from watching it during it, but then I move on with my life as you do with most movies. But like, this just has a weird stigma once again of being a huge fucking movie, especially like the biggest movie
it made
at the time.
$760 million in the United States. It made almost $3 billion in the world.
Gnarly.
That's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fucking money.
Yep.
And like, I think at that time, when it made that much money worldwide, I think that people were still like, wow, we made $1 billion abroad. And it made almost like 2.8 billion or something like that. And it was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Is this what we got? Is this what we're doing now? But that's Avatar.
Yeah.
What else have you been watching recently, bud?
I haven't been able to watch too much. I started playing Resident Evil
Village,
and that's fun. Having fun with that. Messing around with Lady D.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna call her Lady D because I don't know how to say it. Yeah, there's a million ways to say it. Obviously, there's the right way, the Romanian way, but I'm not gonna try and emulate that.
Yeah.
What are you? What did I say? What about you?
What about you?
What about you?
What about you? I've watched some real stinkers recently. I watched the Netflix release, The Woman in the Window with Amy Adams. That movie was
a Netflix movie.
It was no. It was like, I think it was a movie that Netflix bought because that was something that was a movie that sat on the shelf for a while. Huh. It had Amy Adams, Gary Oldman, Wyatt Russell was in it, which was
Pete
interesting.
Davidson?
Not Pete Davidson. Julianne Moore was in it.
I haven't seen her in a minute.
Jennifer Jason Leigh.
It's like I was saying, definitely haven't seen Jennifer Love Hewitt in a major minute.
But they, it was good and bad. Like, it was
a Netflix movie.
Yeah, but the thing is like, it had a better third act than any Netflix movie.
Yeah, the Netflix movies have good first acts.
Yeah.
Terrible, usually third acts.
Yeah.
For sure.
But this movie was interesting because it was a book that was like, they were faithful to the book, and that gave away the ending. Like, it gave away any of the twists because they told it, and they told it well. Like, that's the thing. It was like, it was good, and it was visually really cool, like representation of like mental illness.
Yeah.
But by doing that and having it not be like written on the page where you have to put it together, having it like those visual cues.
Oh.
Like it was like, okay.
Yeah, there's definitely a case for when the it's definitely obviously it's an adapted screenplay just for the fact, but like that like you definitely need that super adapted screenplay to really to work, or it works most of the time when it's pretty adapted.
Yeah,
I guess. You know, like this is a stupid one, but you know,
Prisoner of Azkaban.
No, Chamber of Secrets.
Oh.
It's like 3 hours long, and it's because they hit pretty much almost all the beats,
except for Peeves.
I was about to say except for Peeves, so it's crazy, but it's not a bad movie, but it's a journey in not a great way, where then you have the rest of the series where they.
It's so funny that Professor McGonagall let him be Seeker in his first year.
Yeah.
Like, it shows you a lot about who she is.
Oh, yeah.
It's very funny. I also watched another really bad movie, Live by Night, which was Ben Affleck's follow-up to Argo. And, man, that was another movie that was a book that was like, I could see the book being good and being interesting, but they just tried to shove everything. It's like, he's an Irish mobster in Italy who has a thing, and then he has to go to prison, and then it's like all this stuff happens. And then he like goes, and it's like, here's 5 different storylines. They're dealing with the Ku Klux Klan. Then they got evangelists, and then it's like, and then also he's like making up, and it's like, whoa,
just a lot.
There's just a lot going on, and it's only 2 hours long, and so it's like, man, we like there's one part where like a major character dies, and they're just like, yeah, imagine that.
I hate that in movies.
And I was just like, hold on.
Speaking of, when Hedwig dies. You don't get to feel that long enough.
Yeah.
In the movie.
Man, we should talk about Harry Potter.
Yeah,
I'd
be down to.
I mean, just because we've been talking about Harry Potter this whole episode,
we could sprinkle them in. I'm doing the audiobooks and then movies, and I'm on the 5th.
Okay.
So I'm good to watch. I've already watched them recently, but I'll rewatch them for the podcast for sure.
Yeah.
Pottercast.
Well, I mean, you know, I feel like that's we're
good
coming
spot.
We're coming to the end. Maybe we'll talk about some Harry Potter stuff.
Yeah, we can. Maybe we. I mean, obviously we'll start Chamber. I mean, the Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah. Hey, this is production meeting. We have this off air.
Yeah.
Hit us up at Stinky Podcast. This is so funny to me where he's eating his eggs and his body's about to die.
I know.
Talking about Avatar.
It's such
a weird comedic timing where he's like, hey, make sure you eat your eggs, buddy.
It's good tonally though.
Yeah. Where it's like the differences, and again, it illustrates the differences in the worlds.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm trying to close it out.
But yeah, so follow us on the podcast.
Yeah, follow us on the podcast.
Rate and review.
You know, tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like, tell us why you loved Avatar.
I'm gonna make the executive decision now. We're gonna give up on the script readings.
Yeah, you're not gonna do that
because no one's done that.
No one's done that. No one will do that. We're 55 episodes in,
and we've turned into a movie review podcast, which I've liked actually.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing to do.
And you know, make sure you rate and review the Stinky Podcast wherever you do, and tell your friends about us and send us kisses. We send you kisses. And as they say on Pandora, hey, get off my fucking lawn! I'm fucking soul bonding here.
A Clint Eastwood, Navi.
Hey, get off my fucking lawn.
Someone needs to make that.
Soul bonding here.
Bye.